Hello everyone, are you ready for another adventure? It's me, Wokey, and I'm back with another Fake Grand Order video, doing something similar to the last video I did, where I'm going to be talking about a unit that has an upcoming banner, which is Summer Kiara. I figured that if I have the unit and I have a way to show them, I may as well do it. It worked out pretty well with Kama, so I'm going to keep on going and keep on working to improve stuff, because you could always get better with a lot of things. So that's going to be today's video. I'm going to give my basic thoughts on what I feel about Kiara, where she kind of stands, what she kind of does as well. This one's going to be a little bit complicated because Kiara has some big complications to things, but it comes down very simple. So that's going to be today's video, and we're going to be doing the Greenman hunt. I did come up with a team that uses Kiara, but it's not really a Kiara team. It's really good. Check out how good these other units are. But anyway, we'll go in here. We'll look for a basic friend. Yep, this is perfect. And this is the team. It's very similar to Kama figures because they're both beasts of the same burden. But it is going to be using a black rail. The reason is that, so the fun thing about Summer Kiara here is that she's a moon cancer, which means that she doesn't have type disadvantage against a lot of dudes, but it also means she doesn't have type advantage versus many of them, which means that she can sometimes be lacking in terms of damage. If you want to check out mine is, basic 1000, 1000, but the MP is at level 1, and the only other thing I have is mana loading, which is going to be very important as we talk more about her pretty soon. So I use Black Rail for power. There's a couple, I think, other Cs you could likely use, but you really want to maximize the amount of damage you want to do, or you would potentially want to try and maximize instant kill if you're fighting against a bunch of mobs that are typically bronze with high HP that you can take down with instant kill or something like that. But here's her skills. The most important one is obviously the first one, which is Mermaid Flesh EX. It applies Guts one time over 5 turns and removes debuffs and restores HP per turn. Increases MP strength, applies Mermaid's Nourishment, which gives where a skill rank is applied every turn for 4 turns. For yourself, skill rank up can be stacked up to the second and third skills, can be ranked up to a maximum of 2. Using the rank up skills will remove all levels of all skill rank ups. So Divine Power Inc. B and Clam Palace A are the two ones. Divine Power B is pretty simple because it's just an MP gauger with gain crit stars. And when it increases level, it literally goes from a B level skill, and with the next rank up, it's B+. And then another rank up, it goes to A. And at A, what it does is that it gives 50% NP and 30 stars, but at its base level, it will give you 30% and 20 stars. For the third skill, it does a lot more. The thing that keeps consistent between everything is that it grants party evasion for one attack for 3 turns. That doesn't change over any of the skill rank ups. But what does change is the number of bewitchment debuffs you give. And I guess the other thing that doesn't change is the ability to ignore evasion buff. But the thing that changes is the amount of bewitchment debuffs you give. You give 1 at level 1, 2 at level 2, 3 at level 3. You reduce their defense for 3 turns, which is 20% at the base level. If you get it all the way to level 3, it's 30%, with it being 25% at the second level. The reducing their arch resistance is 20% at skill rank 1, and if you get it all the way to the next skill rank, it's 25%, and then finally again 30%. So you can see here that it's very important, the skill ranks, to her. You'll also notice that technically speaking, if you were looping with her, this lasts 3 turns, which means when you activate Mermaid Flesh, she has 0 skill ups. When you have it on the second turn, she has 1. And when you activate it on the final turn, she has 3, which means that on the third turn of a loop, you're only ever going to be able to use Divine Power or Clam Palace. And typically you want to try and use Clam Palace. You would only ever want to use Divine Power if you were really struggling for NP, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. In terms of her skill, she has Territory Creation EX, Otherworldly Creation EX, Independent Manifestation E, and Logos Eater D. The only append skill I gave her is Load Magic Energy, which I mentioned a little bit sooner, and her Noble Phantasm deals heavy special attack damage as a mental debuff. Special attack that increases based off of mental debuffs, maximum of 10. So it is 100 plus 20% up to 10. So the more debuffs they have on them, the more damage she's going to end up doing. And she has a high chance to inflict death, which is, I believe, 100% at charge level 1. And if you get all the way to the fall charge level, it's 150%. And her damage is 450 at MP level 1, which is what I will be rocking from this point forward. So yeah, because she is Moon Cancer, it means that she doesn't have type effectiveness against a lot of people. Against normal dudes that are 3-3-3, you won't have a lot of trouble. Where she does start to have a little bit of trouble is weird formations, which I'll show off here just because now we can finally get started. Now, after I've explained everything with Kiara, now we can kind of go in and go do it. 5 minutes in, Jesus Christ. But there's a lot to explain. But it's a very simple unit once you actually get in there. So this type of thing, she has no problem. I'm even going to do the thing where I'm going to try and make it so she just fills it out completely, and keeping the mana loading in the back. There are certain arts units that can take all of Castoria's buffs and always get 100%, but I've already tested this with Kiara. She's not able to do that. So we'll go here, and then go here. And she'll hit him with the bubble bath. She'll blow him. Big old bubbles. Heaven's Foam. That's a hilarious name for it. See, no problem. She gets about 62%, which is where the final Castoria, that's no problem. We'll go here. Bring in Oberon. Go here. You'll see that there's 2 enemies, so she'll have less. So she should be able to get 50% here. That's right. Blow them once again. Doesn't matter how many people here, they're all getting blown at the end. And so she has 50%. So thanks to Oberon, she is going to be able to get it. But you can see here, that's just the power of Oberon helping. If it was not for Oberon, and let's say you had someone like Vitch, not Vitch, that's dumb. Sorry, it's late at night. Lady Avalon. Lady Avalon could give her 20%, but then she would still be missing the end bits here. She would have to pop the second skill, which would be less damage. And against specific one-type enemy bosses, like a big boss like here, you want to try and do maximum damage here. So you go in here, you go in there, go here. 20% is left over, but that's okay. That's just where he comes in. And then we can just do damage from this point on. She'll be able to do plenty of damage. She's able to kill him normally from this point on, but just to do the maximum amount of damage, which is what anyone would do if they had Oberon and this was the basic setup. And she should be able to kill here. Yeah, see? And you're able to do it. For respectable damage for NP level 1. So what's the main problem with Kiara is that that's rookie numbers compared to a lot of other arts units, and you're going out of your way to kind of do something with her. And I think a lot of it comes down, I remember someone most recently talked to me when I was talking about Summer Abbey, is that a lot of units kind of get compared to when they have an AoE, how effective are they at looping, because that's what most people expect them to do, right? If you are a AoE unit, you are going to be judged on your ability to loop, because that is the main basic thing that you're going to be doing for the vast majority of the game with an AoEer. But there are some people who are better built for long, dragged-out fights, and I think Summer Kiara is kind of that. I feel she's likely better for that, especially because she has a Guts. Her Bond CE, I believe, gives her a really nice bonus if you can get it that far, which it gives her a Guts that can be stacked with other Guts, which is kind of insane. It does reduce the party's max HP, which kind of sucks, but getting yourself a 100% revive with a stackable Guts, it kind of shows you the direction I think they want to take Summer Kiara in. Is that it's like you're probably not supposed to always be there for the super looping. But it ends up being that's just what you do for most loopers. So, and again, she's able to do it against the very basic nodes. It's a little bit of the weirder nodes that she can have a little bit of a problem, but you can fix that if you're like me and you have an MLB, Black Rail, Oberon, and double Castoria. Now let me ask you this, new player who just joined. Do you have all that? Do you know how long it took me to get a max limit broken Black Grail? A really long fucking time. I can tell you that much for free. It took a long fucking time for me to get that. I'm just popping that for the fun of it now. I've also have heard in terms of challenge quest scenarios that she does actually not the greatest amount of crit damage, but that's kind of to be expected with some specific art units. She also doesn't give herself a lot of big buffs. She only really gives herself a tiny NP boost of 20%, and then the rest of it is very debuff focused. And that's the other thing about her, is that because she's so debuff focused, if you ever fight someone who doesn't get affected by debuffs, you're just kind of fucked. She doesn't really do anything. She just kind of hits for the base power, and then you have to hope that I guess you're going against a ruler or something like that. It's a little bit, she's a little bit in a tough predicament, where I'll say she's a unit that I think is still good, but has flaws. And those flaws are intricate to her, are like tied into her design. It's the fact that you have to use this skill, and then you kind of have to do a balancing act. I'm not saying that they should get rid of the skill, because if they made it so this skill just gives you 4 skills, then it is effectively said that they failed. They weren't able to come up with a good way of balancing her with the current playstyle she has. So it ends up being a thing of, how do you balance a unit that's kind of built like that? It can be a little bit tough. But again, if you like Kiara, I think you'll be fine, because she's just a perfectly fine AoE looper, with there being better options out there for you in terms of arts, especially arts, but in terms of a lot of things. When you're choosing someone that doesn't have type effectiveness, I think the thing you want to look out for the most is how much damage they're able to do. And like I said, Kiara is doing things fine as far as this video goes, but it's because everything I have is just so crazy built up that, of course, I would hope that any unit that is being buffed to this extreme is able to do enough. It's kind of like a foregone conclusion, but it can also come off as a little bit like, okay, well, where do we go from here? But yeah, that's my kind of basic thoughts about her, is that I really do think she's just good, but there's better options out there, and I think there's a better way of showing it. So like I said, I did come up with a team that can beat the hardest one that uses Kiara, and I can show off a little bit more of her synergy stuff too from there, and kind of show what I mean there. And it will use a little bit of different units. It's gonna be the same thing of like, okay, but Wokey, I don't really have any of that. Understandable. I'm not saying that this is the perfect thing that you can run. I'm just saying it's options, man. Give me a break here. This is going great. I'm already breaking down and asking. This is what the problem with recording at like 4:43 a.m. I've also been playing with friends a whole bunch today, so I'm a little bit also tired of talking. I was playing a lot of Magic, which involved a lot of yelling at friends, and then I played a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 with the Mew Mew Force, which involved a lot of laughing and yelling at each other as well. Okay, let me go to the final team. Alright, here's the basic team. It is Summer Kiara, and then also you'll notice Summer Ibuki's here, and then you'll also see here for support I've brought in Domin. The reason why is because Kiara is actually, I believe it's Lawful Evil is what her basic breakdown is. If I go down to her, I have to go here to her profile. Yep, she's Lawful Evil, which means that she gets half of the buffs from Domin. But the other thing that's important about Domin is that Domin applies a lot of debuffs in general. So you can kind of break them down. The main problem with, as you can see with this build-up, is that because this final node is very weird, it's a 2-2-1, it means that Kiara is not going to be able to get enough, she's not going to be able to get enough NP back without having to sacrifice damage. So the problem is that you need more NP, so you would remove the Black Grail. But you remove the Black Grail, you're taking away a good 80% of her damage to her NP. So this is like a good halfway point. And Summer Buki's here because Summer Buki can buff with her first skill and her second skill. And the most important thing is that mine is NP5. I don't know what NP level yours would need to be able to pull off this setup, but I'm almost positive it's only a setup that I can do because of my weird setup. Shark! We have the shark. So, as always, we're going to go here. We'll go here. We'll make it so 70% so that way she's able to get 100% when we do the final buff of everything. Go here, bring in the Doman. So Doman, I believe... Oh no, is he not in the outfit? I think when he's in this outfit, he doesn't get the summer buff. It's fine. It's only NP gain. He doesn't need it. It should be fine. So I'll go in here with Summer Buki, and even though she does not have a single CE, I didn't give her a CE to make her stronger. I didn't bother, because mine's NP5. I don't need to... You could probably achieve this if you actually gave her a good CE that does damage, but mine doesn't. So she's able to just barely get there with the Tengu, and then she'll slap them up and do the rest out here. We'll go here for Doman. So what's the good thing about Doman? Doman is nowhere near strong enough to kill these Tengu at all. I'm going to tell you this right now. He's not going to deal enough damage. Why am I doing this here? Well, you see, Doman has an extremely high instant kill factor. I believe it's 120%, and the 8 times I ran this with him, he always instant killed them, which, yes, they go away. So, against Silver, I believe you have at least a slightly higher than 50% chance. It's been almost 100% for me, but it can't be the numbers, because those Tengus have a natural 50% chance of ignoring instant kill. And I think I saw from the wiki when I went to go check, because I have no fucking idea how instant death works at all, by the way. Just to let you know, I'll tell you that one for free. I have never really bothered to learn how the math works on it, but I know that Doman has a very good instant kill chance here. If you include it with the uniform, it's supposed to be 100% against silver foes, but I was able to do it there, no problem. So then next, we apply the debuffs. We go in here for this. We apply a little bit more debuffs. I'll just pop this for the crit damage because this is going to become important. We go here. And thankfully, as long as her or Ibuki get enough stuff, we should be able to kind of rock it from here. So I'm going to go this way with the Buster card at the final. And she should be able to kill from there. Blow him one last time. She's not going to be able to kill. She can potentially instant kill, but she's not going to. She doesn't like me. But yeah, you can see it's a lot of damage. Respectable considering I only had one Castoria buff, and the rest of this is debuffs. That Buster did not crit. She's not going to kill. Oh no, she did. Thank you for locking in there at the last second. I was a little afraid, I'm not going to lie, when I saw that crit didn't go off. Okay. So that's the basic thing. As you can see, that was more really how good is Doman and Summer Ibuki. Really good. They're really good. And also the power of an MP5 unit, to be honest with you. So that is our girl here. Like I said, I do think she's good. I think some of the specific shortcomings that she has are just because I think they would prefer you to use her in a challenge type fight where you're not having to worry about there being 3 rows of dudes. At that point, you could use her with other debuffers and you can kind of hurt them with Curse or something like that. Kind of go in there a little bit more and have a little bit of a better time with it. But then you have to remember that she can also be used for looping purposes, and as far as looping goes, she's good at that. She's actually very decent. She's just not one of the best currently as far as arts goes. Typically, if I'm looking for one in my current box, which I have a lot of, if you just look at the competition real quick to be like, hey, how's this go? AoE, am I going to be using her over some of these? Like, if I was fighting against an archer, would I use her over Mary Anning? Likely not for me, just because I have a Grailed one. But I have Summer Ibuki, and she has a bonus. Like, even with Musashi, I would use her over Musashi just because Musashi is a little bit harder to loop with. I wouldn't use her over Kama if I was fighting against a caster. I would probably be better off using Habitrot because Habitrot is amazing and stuff like that. If I was fighting against someone who's assassin, I would use Shirazade over them. You see the kind of issue here. And then even then, if I wanted a pure baseness of it, I could also just look at Space Ishtar, and who is in the similar vein of Kama, where I'm like, both of these are amazing units that I could use. So you can see where the kind of issue is. But if you like Kiara, if you're a big fan of her, you don't care about any of that. All you care about is the flavor of the Little Mermaid here, which I will say I really do like her third ascension and her first ascension. Not a big fan of what's going on in the second one at all. But I do like the mermaid look. I do like the motif that she has of the Little Mermaid. I think it's very cute. I think it's very nice. And yeah, that's basically it. If you want to tell me anything more, feel free to tell me if you decided to go for Kiara or not. How you're feeling. I assume most people are like me and saving up SSA quartz again. But if you plan to summon, feel free to tell me. You can also leave back any feedback. I always read it. Take a look at it and be like, I can improve that a little bit more. It's funny because when I do these type of videos, I think it exposes how I play the game. The way I play the game is not optimally for the most part. When you actually look, I think to the casual viewer, it does kind of look that way, but if you know a little bit more about the game, it doesn't. It doesn't pass the smell test, I'll tell you that much. But I do like to improve, and I do read it, and I go like, I could do that a little bit better. The good example from last one is someone telling me out, like, you did not need to do the overcharge for Castoria. I was like, damn, you're right. I really didn't need to. But I did it anyway just for the hell of it. But I should have made that more clear to say, like, yeah, I don't think this changes anything, because it didn't really change anything. But now I'm talking too much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, and have a good night. And now I'm going to go rest. And I'm going to go watch the movies, too. I'm going to go see Weapons and The Grave of the Fireflies in theaters. Let's go. Okay, guys. Till next time. Peace out. Bye-bye.